Hello, Pearl Jam community. Welcome to the Wishlist Foundation's interview series, Candle of Thought, where we illuminate the people, causes, and music that are important to the Pearl Jam community. I'm your host, Chrissy Ferguson. Today, we have Krzysztof Domaradzki with us. Krzysztof is an artist, graphic designer, and illustrator. He works in various fields of graphic communication in his hometown Poznań, Poland. After receiving his master's degree in drawing and etching from the Academy of Fine Arts, he moved on to creating illustrations and storyboards for advertising agencies and making his first steps as a graphic designer. In 2006, he started his own company, Studio KXX, and established a name for himself by working for various global brands, small businesses, and private projects. He has done identity and branding projects, website designs, covers, book illustrations, t-shirt designs, and exclusive Blu-ray releases. Recently, Krzysztof has primarily focused on creating limited edition silkscreen posters, either licensed or privately commissioned. Krzysztof is no stranger to the Pearl Jam community. He has created several posters for Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam shows over the years. And today we're so excited to speak with him about his recent posters for the Fenway shows on September 15th and September 17th, and the Ohana Festival shows September 27th through the 29th. So welcome, Krzysztof. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Welcome, and thank you for having me.
So I'm really excited to talk to you about both of the posters. So let's start talking about your inspiration for the Fenway show posters. I heard there was a little Norman Rockwell inspiration for that.
Yes. Thank you for this question. Well, initially, a person who deals with all the gig posters for Pearl Jam and other bands reached out to me again, and it's always a very nice email to receive. And I got information that there are two concerts happening on 15th and 17th of September in Boston. And the only thing that brief usually states is that the poster is supposed to be some way inspired by the city, but there are no limitations to what it should be, as long as it's not solely focusing on animals, because there are already plenty of posters with, I assume, just animals, whatever they would be. So what I did was I made a little research. My wife also helped me with that, because I obviously, everybody in the world knows America, United States, but I'm not a specialist when it comes to each city. So I googled I googled Boston, Massachusetts, and I found quite a few very interesting information. And first of which was that one of the most famous painters in the United States was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and was Norman Rockwell, whom I always admired for his absolutely amazing skill. I know that in the sort of artistic community, he is also regarded as like just an illustrator, or just a guy who can do realistic drawings and stuff. But to me, it's this elevates him to this top level of artistry. He also had great symbolic aspects to his art. So I really always appreciate his creativity and his art, and so does my twin brother as well. So that was the main inspiration, and I found that he, of course, you probably know this, he has been working for many years on covers for, let me check the name of the Saturday Evening Post.
Mm-hmm.
It was, yes, and it had very characteristic typography font, and this sort of somewhat similar solution to most of the covers, where you have a lot of white space with some circle, of course, in the middle, and characters, of course, change. So it can be Santa Claus, it can be a couple reading a newspaper or whatever, or children playing. All amazing illustrations, I have to say. I mean, there was not a single one that was botched or whatever. Absolutely amazing. So that was the main inspiration, and I went for I also had an idea for a knight riding a horse, and I wanted more animals featured on the poster, even though I was not supposed to focus on a single animal. I decided to put many symbols just to make the illustration interesting, in my opinion. So I'm looking at my concept to just not forget about all the symbols I put in there. So the font, the initial font on the concept was very similar to the Saturday Evening Post. Unfortunately, it was not used. I'll tell you why in a second. Then there's this small bird on the arm of the knight. The bird is called chickadee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's that in Polish, but it's supposed to be a symbol of Massachusetts, a bird that symbolizes Massachusetts. At least I'm quoting Wikipedia right now. The cat is called tabby cat. It's also a cat symbol of Massachusetts. Boston Terrier was an obvious dog symbol. The horse is a Morgan horse. It's also a horse symbol of Massachusetts. I didn't even know that there is such thing as a animal symbol of each state in the United States, and I'm guessing every country in the world probably. But here we are. I know it now. And there's also, of course, a flag with with Boston logo from the Fenway Park team. What's it called again in Boston baseball?
The Red Sox?
Yes, I should know this, right? Okay, yes. So the Boston Red Sox B letter is on the flag behind the knight. So generally, I don't want to describe all the symbols. There's a mandolin, old guitar that suits the knight. The knight at first had a helmet on one of the versions, but Pearl Jam wanted the skull. I mean, I showed them the skull as well, so they chose the skull option. And I believe he was holding different things in the hand, but we ended up using the rose, red rose, which is a very symbol, very has many meanings. Let's put it that way. So and behind him in the circle, I envisioned having Boston panorama, but on one of the versions where the knight had the skull instead of a normal helmet, I used a destroyed Boston city, which was supposed to resemble or just be the Boston city from the game The Last of Us, which I played multiple times, loved it, absolutely loved it, I have to say, maybe because I have a daughter, and I'm not sure if you know the series or the game. I mean, the series was based on the game, but the game is absolutely amazing, and it builds this relationship between a man who lost his daughter, and he sort of finds a new daughter in a way, right? By protecting this Ellie girl. Amazing film, game and film. But the destroyed Boston was supposed to be a symbol of that. I mean, of my love for the game, which took place in this city. Yes,
that's what I love about your work. Is I even before I knew all, I mean, I could understand the symbols, as far as Boston goes and Massachusetts, but I always love looking for the Easter eggs. There's always hidden images, and I feel like sometimes people can miss it if they're not really looking closely until you get up, till you purchase your own poster and you see. But it's really cool how you incorporate all of those images to make it a really meaningful poster.
Thank you for saying this. It's not super original in all honesty. It's been done, and it is being done, and it was done before many times by many artists. I just feel like having this opportunity to have my artwork printed for this band and many people seeing it. I just want to put as much love in it as I can. And how can you do it other than putting many details and many Easter eggs, like you call them, so many things you can discover by looking at them. That's the way I do it. And maybe before we continue with other questions, let me just quickly say a bit more about Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
Usually on Pearl Jam prints, there's supposed to be a reverse print using just one single color with a hologram sticker for authenticity, right? And this is absolutely free for the artist to do whatever he wishes. As an example, I'm always being shown examples from other artists, and it's sometimes a handwritten poem or a small doodle drawing. But I initially wanted to depict Norman Rockwell painting with explanation why he inspires me and why he's a great artist, why he's from Massachusetts and all that. But I heard that, unfortunately, even though the band is absolutely fine with the idea for the poster, I am not supposed to write anything about Norman Rockwell, because same year, I believe it already happened, because, sorry, I was contacted, I think, around April or March. Okay, so around summer, I think there's a festival ran by Jeff Ament.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, from what I remember, it's somehow related to his father. I'm not sure if it's not late father. I'm not sure if he's. I don't remember the specifics, but the festival was supposed to be run around Norman Rockwell. Like literally, there was some musical thing going on and artistic stuff with Norman Rockwell as main focus or whatever. So I was asked not to use that on the back. So I went for this sort of comic strip idea inspired by one of the songs I really love from Pearl Jam. It's I'm Open.
Mm-hmm.
One of the songs I memorized when I was in high school, and I was inspired by it. I don't want to explain what's going on there, but generally a man is dreaming and flying away or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you know what it means. Also the back.
Yeah, and so that was going to be my next question: is how soon they approach you with this idea and this ask of doing a poster. But it sounds like you have about an 8 months to. Or
no, it's not like that. I mean, let me check exactly. Just give me 1 second, if I may. I'll just double check when exactly was it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, with Boston poster, they contacted me around January. So
okay.
It sounds like I have a lot of time, but the deadlines are usually around a month. So maybe a month and a half or something. For Ohana, I had a week.
Oh my
so
God.
It was a super surprised. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. But I did like one Belgian poster for 2 shows in September, and same month Ohana is happening. So I think they might have had some situation. I don't know. Maybe I was the last person to call, but with Ohana they reached out literally. I don't know. Was it late August or something? But I had very little time. But I hope I still.
I love it. This is honestly, and we're going to talk about this one next, because I have a lot of friends who will wait in the merch lines, and they get all the posters to everything we go to. And we don't have a whole lot of wall space, and we don't have a whole lot of places to put things. So we have to really love it, like to buy it, because we know we're going to frame it and put it up. And so when we saw this, we just fell in love with it. I mean, this is just, I know it's probably backwards, but we were just so impressed with this. And of course, it's California, but we're Florida people, so, near the beach. So this was just the perfect poster for us. And
I am so happy to hear it. And I love seeing it the regular version, so to speak, that you have just shown, because the versions I get and I'm able to sell are the variants. I mean, where one color is different. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, even though I always try to do both versions equally good, which is understandable, right? Because as I'm selling mine, right? So why should they be worse, or maybe not worse, but a little worse or whatever? I try to make them equally good. But in this case of Ohana, I prefer the regular version with the pink.
It's color. Beautiful. And so what is the back and forth like? I mean, obviously with that quick turnaround for Ohana, I mean, are you going back and forth a few times with this piece, or?
Well, I can answer also speaking about Boston and generally all the stuff I did for Pearl Jam generally, is the collaboration with the guy I'm working with. There are two guys actually. Is super smooth. Like Pearl Jam, I guess, as a band is very open. I'm open again. They are very open to artists doing what they want to do, what they love doing. So they generally don't put any restrictions, like I said before. So no, I mean, with Ohana, the only issue they had was the bottom part where you have all the band names.
Right.
There was a suggestion to use fonts, because you never know if some band will not drop out in the last second and you'll have to change it quickly or whatever.
So like
And since
here.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But since there was so little time before the actual festival begins, I figured that once I had it designed and I showed it to the band, they liked it. So when I was finalizing the artwork, I drew everything, including the typography at the bottom, which you don't. It's not like it's drawn by some kid, right? It looked like a font, but if you look up close, the edges are slightly irregular or whatever, not perfect like in a font. So that was the only comment. Could you make it a font still? Not sure why, because you couldn't really see it, but I changed it. But other than that, there were no issues. They really liked it. They maybe one more issue there was that I suggested the regular version that you have as a variant, and the variant that I have as a regular, and they said, let's switch it up. So I was like, okay, let's. And we did. It's not like I don't like the variant. I wouldn't send it out and sign my name on it if I wouldn't. So of course I like it.
And can people, I know I follow your Instagram, can people still purchase these prints? Do you have any still available?
I believe, definitely Boston. I still have prints, and I also have a few, but only a few of Ohana. So if you're into Ohana more than Boston, you better get it up, so to speak. But Boston, sure. I'm planning maybe a little discount closer to Christmas. So if anyone considers it, maybe wait closer to December. I'll probably do a small discount.
Okay, great. And would they contact you through Instagram or go on your website?
Anyway they like, they can contact me. Through my website, they can contact me directly through email, but I'm also responding daily. It's very flattering, of course. Too many messages, and on Facebook as well. So I'm trying to be available online, but also for my family. So I'm not always maybe responding like super instantly, although I try, but I always try to reply. So
okay, great. And before we leave, I do want to know about the Ohana poster and any research that you did to make this one very special.
Sure, I'd love to tell you a story. This one is a little maybe sad. Of course, not really, but I'm kidding. But initially, I did the Boston poster, and for that one, I generally had like one idea, but it had some variations. Okay, like I mentioned, so the knight didn't have had the skull, or didn't have the skull, had the helmet, or a different flag, different colors, different typography, but generally 3 variations of the same motif, right? While Ohana, I was like, okay, let's do this again. The brief stated the same thing as usual with Ohana. So everything California, so surfing, beach, sand, sunny, waves, freedom.
Right.
You get the idea. Generally, California, the way people probably have it in their minds when they think California. So my initial idea, which I might share with you, I hope the band won't hold it against me, was completely different from what you're seeing there. It was a guy with a guitar, leaning backwards, smoking a cigarette, okay, with some smoke coming out of it, and he's leaning I'm not how you say when you do this. What's it called in English? Like you're leaning against something, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So he was leaning against a giant bear, which is a symbol of California.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you, right? So and there was a palm tree with some nice shadows, and of course sea in the background, and a surfer on a cliff, small surfer on a cliff. So again, a bit like with Boston, lots of symbols, lots of storytelling around this, potential
Right.
gig. Uh, I love the colors on that one, like crazy colors, very, I mean, slightly hallucinogenic, a bit like the cigarette is not a normal cigarette. Not that I'm, telling you to go and do bad stuff or whatever, but just this crazy, lucid, kind of dreamy vibe of a poster. But they didn't like it for a reason I don't really know what was it. They never told me, like, we don't like the colors or we hate bears. I never knew what was the reason. They just told me, no, maybe try to look for something else. I was sort of surprised because everyone I showed this idea to, and I had another one as well, but I don't even want to. I mean, it was a pretty cool one, but not as good as the one I'm describing here. I showed it to my brother and my friend who also loves Belgium, and they were like, dude, this is, wow, great, it's going to be great. But the band didn't like it. So I was like, it's weird that we have so little time and they are so picky,
Right.
which never happened to me before. So I was like, how about I suggest to them one of the ideas they haven't used from the past? Because I remember doing at least 5 ideas for the previous Ohana poster. And even though they chose the mermaid motif, which I'm not sure if you remember, but it was a mermaid playing a guitar, there was another one with a surfer going through a wave, and they really loved it, and they said we would wish to use that one, but that year, because it was in 22, I think, that year some other artist already made his sort of whatever it was, his idea with a surfer, swimming through driving through a wave. Is that how, riding a wave? Yeah, riding a wave. So that was then, and I was like, since you don't like my idea with the bear, how about you have a look at this idea again that I did 2 years ago? And they were like, okay, let's do this. But instead of making it horizontal, which I initially suggested, let's make it vertical, and the rest is history. I mean, there are I mean, not that many symbols in it. It's much more simple in that sense. But what I tried to do instead was to play around with water, because water is not very easy to draw.
Right.
I don't want to sound like I don't have any modesty in me, but I generally, if I try, I should be able to draw generally everything. It only takes, the only matter is how much time it will take, right? So of course you can draw everything different ways, right? A tree or water, you can make a old graphic style, whatever. I didn't have too much time, so I went for this sort of bold lines and almost surrealistic shapes that only from afar resemble water in a way. I mean, I had people write me comments that they got the they got the idea. Like, we can see it's water, it's a wave, but if you look up close, it doesn't look like much like water, right? And that was the idea. So that's the sort of the hidden aspect or element I tried to in there.
Well, it's beautiful. I love it. We love it.
Thank you.
Can't wait to get it
Thank you so
framed.
much.
And hopefully, I know you can't tell us, but hopefully you have other work coming out that's Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder related down the road. We will look forward to that because we just.
Thank you so much. I'm always looking forward to working with Eddie or Pearl Jam or Ohana, always. But now I can't say anything more. Although a hint that I already did 2 posters for September should tell you that probably this year nothing's happening from me.
Right. Well, we look forward to your work, and I love following your Instagram account and just seeing everything that you're doing because you really are so talented. And so I encourage
so
everybody to follow Krzysztof on Instagram if you aren't already. And we'll make sure to put that handle up on our page so that people will we'll check you out. So thank you so much for your time. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate all the stories and letting us know more about both of these posters that we all love so much. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for having me, for the opportunity to talk about my work, and to all the fans and people listening. Stay safe out there, and all the best.